Morning, out here again. Well, I got a little tip. Seems pretty self-explanatory, and it's one of those mistakes that you only make once. I was helping a guy with some cabinets, putting some cabinets up, and part of doing that is you got to use a nail gun to put some trim kind of stuff around there. And one of the very important tips that I learned in doing this is see that little dot? I don't know if you can see it, if it'll focus on it. Little tiny dot on the side of my finger. When you're using a nail gun, make sure your finger is out of the way before you pull the trigger. Now, it's not like I nailed myself to the cabinet. There's a little lip that runs along the top of the cabinet, and I was putting some stuff up there. I went, okay, that's a good spot. And I immediately, it didn't hurt. I just felt something. It felt like my finger got hit by a hammer. I went, oh, dadgummit. And I went to lift up, and it wouldn't lift up. I was like, oh, that's stupid. Oh, my goodness. Started to slide my finger off of the nail. It went a good halfway into my finger because it was just a little 1-inch nail. So it just, pow, right through the side, went halfway through my finger and stopped. So that's one of those mistakes you only make once. So, yeah. Seems just, I immediately got down and walked out into the other room. The guy I was helping out was in there. I just stood there. I was like, that was stupid. He goes, what'd you do? I was like, shoot yourself with a nail gun? Yeah. So, yeah. I'm just waiting on him to meet up with me. I got some keys I got to give to the guy. But, yeah. Another cool thing I'm glad I had was I recently bought a new truck. I had the old 98 Dodge Ram, and that one started kind of crapping out on me, so I was kind of forced to find something new. Well, new to me. And I went out and I got me an 07 Dodge Ram 2500. And it's a good truck. And when I bought it, they said, oh, you can get one of these extended service plans with it. And I thought, well, I'm willing to bet something in the next 2 years is going to go wrong with that thing. And it was pretty pricey. It was, like $2,300 on top of everything else that went along with the vehicle. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go ahead and get that. I don't really want to pay that much money, but hopefully it'll save me some money in the long run. Well, I started warming up my vehicle out somewhere the other day, and when I came back out, I noticed it was leaking coolant on the driveway. So I made an appointment to drop it off at the shop there, and told them what it was doing. Said when it's warming up, I think the radiator's leaking because it's not coming from any. Doesn't look like it's coming from any hoses or overflow tank or anything. And so check that out. And she goes, okay, well, is that all? I said, well, I've had some issues before with tie rods and ball joints and whatnot on Rams. So have them peek around under there, make sure those are all right. Well, I get a call about 3 or 4 hours later from the shop. And she goes, okay, well, we got to replace the radiator. I said, okay. She goes, also, all of your ball joints are shot. I said, alrighty, good thing we checked that. She said, your tie rod ends are bad. So they're going to swap out all the tie rods. I said, okay. And she also said, you have your front right wheel bearings going bad. So we're going to have to swap that out too. So I said, okay. She says, everything luckily is covered by your service plan. And except for taxes and an alignment. Because those are not covered on that service plan. And I said, okay, well, what's that going to be? She says, oh, it'll be $270 some odd dollars. Which normally I would go, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. But then I asked her, I said, well, how much of that work, what does the total bill add up to if it was coming out of my pocket? She goes, well, total work is, it's over $2,000. So that service plan here, I've only had that truck for 2 months. So that service plan has already paid for itself. Because the way it works is every time I take it to the shop for something, it's $100 deductible. So it'll cost me $100 for the shop, and then the rest of it is taxes and an alignment. So I'm glad that I got that thing. That way I don't have to come over $2,000 out of pocket, because that would just not be doable. I don't have that kind of money. So if they offer it to you when you're buying a new vehicle, I would recommend, even though it's pricey up front, go ahead and take that deal. Because that's 2 months in, and that's over $2,000 worth of work that needs to be done. And I'm betting in the next 2 years, something is going to go wrong to where I'm going to have to use that service plan again. So it works out pretty dang good, but I do have to wait a little while for it to get fixed, because they said, well, we ordered all the parts in, and they should be here after 5 today, but we just don't have time to work on it. And I can't take it to another shop because the contract with that service plan is I have to use their shop if I'm within 40 miles of it. So, I asked them, okay, well, when do you think you'll be able to get it done? They said, if you keep it overnight tonight, if we keep it here, we can fix the radio tomorrow, or the radio. We can fix the radiator tomorrow, and then you can pick it up. And then for the rest of the work, we can get you scheduled in sometime maybe next week. I said, okay, well, it's better to schedule stuff sooner than later. That way I get my slot. I said, what do you have open for next week? And she goes, well, actually, we have a few other bigger builds that we're trying to get done, and we don't really want to schedule anything until we get those done. So we're just going to have to play that one as it goes and see what we can do for you. So I'm going to have to call that service company and say, well, I know I'm within 40 miles of their shop, but they don't have time to work on it because they're down mechanics right now and they've got other stuff going on. I need my truck fixed. So maybe I'll be able to talk them into letting me go to a different shop. Because normally I've got my own mechanic that my family's been using for 20 years. And so he's pretty much the only one that I trust to work on my vehicles, because he's a good, honest guy. He's a little bit of a drive away, but it's worth it for an honest mechanic, because those seem to be few and far between. And he'll work with you on stuff. He'll explain things, and before you bring your truck in there, he'll even tell you over the phone, hey, try this, and try this. And then if that still doesn't work, then bring it on in and I'll take a look at it and save you some money. That way, if it's something that you can do yourself, then he'll let you try a few things and give you some pointers. And then if that still doesn't work, then he'll take a look at it. That way you're not bringing it in and paying him to diagnose it for something small that you just overlooked. So he's a real good guy. So, yep, I'm just going to keep on waiting. So I'm going to make sure my fingers are out of the way with everything I'm doing today. Because that hurt. After it was the next day, that sucker was sore. It was like hitting a big old metal splinter halfway through your finger, right through the meat. So make sure your fingers are out of the way before you do anything. So I'll see y'all later. Y'all be good.